All right, we're live. Good morning, everyone, and I mean good evening to everyone and who's watching this. And it's Micro de Mathieu once again. Welcome to the podcast, and my name is Matthew. And today I have quite a remarkable person with us who is joining us, and I hope he's still with us. Yes. And I'm going to introduce Itai. Itai, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Nyama. I'm a political analyst or a public, and I'm a young person who is really interested about the politics of who gets what, when, and how in a nation. Basically, that's my short presentation of my personal self.
Wow, thank you so much for that short presentation, quite precise. So dwelling on the matter as our time is pushing, so Sir Itai, can you now define first political economy review? Because for me, I thought economy is all about money, it's all about statistics. How is it involved in politics?
Okay, so basically, politics, it is about who gets what, when, and how. Then economics, it is the financial analysis or the financial market of a given instrument, right? Politics and economics, because politics influence all aspects basically about what influences the distribution of resources in economics of a society. So basically that is what we call political economy.
Wow, thank you for that brief. Amazing. So on the question of the day and the topic, who really benefits? So we're going to review the midterm 2026 budget. So over to you, Itai. Tell us more on this political economy review and tell us more who really benefits from it according to your own view. And firstly, I would want to advise all the audience, this is our view. This is academical view. This is a professional view, not a personal or any nepotistic view. So over to you, Itai.
All right. Thank you so much. Is it Matthias or Matthias? I'm pretty not sure about that.
It's Matthew. It's Matthew, sir.
Matthew.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'm used to Matthew with a W. Okay, okay. So
All right.
in relation to the discussion of the day, I think for our viewers who are not political scientists or economists, I think I will start by defining what is a budget. I think that is one of the most important clarification that I should give. So, a budget, before we discuss, okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we can't see you, sir. What happened to your video, your visual?
Oh, my video.
Yes, now we can see you.
Oh, sorry about that. Fix this. I'm having a problem somewhere, I think, because I was trying to access my notes on my desktop, but I think there seemed to be a problem. But okay, I'll just say it.
All right.
So basically, a budget, it is a financial plan for a nation. How a nation is going to collect its revenue. It tells us how a nation is going to collect its taxes, and it also tells us how a nation is going to spend those collected taxes or revenues. Bringing it back to home, let me give you an example of a household. There's a father, there's a mother, and three children. So uh, when the father comes back with his salary, then he discusses with the family, okay, so I earned this much, how are we going to spend it, what are the basic needs in our household. That's the same way that a government functions. It's about consolidating all the revenue that was collected in a year, and analyzing it and planning for the future how we are going to spend those collected revenue. So bringing it back to your question, what was it, sorry?
So my question was, who really benefits? We were looking at the topic exactly, and we wanted to break it down. So the question is starting from who really benefits.
Okay, who really benefits from a budget? There are actually two sides of the story. It's either the person who makes the budget, or the person who the budget is being made for. So it's actually a two-sided coin about who really benefits from the budget. I think the questions that are to come will actually explore more about who really benefits. Just to tell you that this person benefits and this person doesn't benefit from the budget, I think it is a
Doesn't, yeah.
bit obscure to actually say that. But when it comes to a budget, we look at many indicators. There are a lot of key indicators that actually tells us, mm, what was this made for? Who is actually going to benefit from this policy? Who is actually going to benefit from this financial plan? So just to tell you, this person is going to benefit or this person is going to benefit,
Yeah.
it is a bit obscure to actually come to that conclusion.
No, it's fine. So I think maybe we can start with the questions. Then, as you said, the questions will be breaking it down. So, so my first question to you is, this year there was news. The ZBC said that there's been a 5% statistics that the inflation has decreased, and this has been seen in the stats
Okay,
in the
sorry,
economy.
can you speak louder? Sorry, can you speak louder?
Can you now hear me?
Okay, let me try to put on my earphone, my
Yeah,
headphones,
just
I
put your
think.
earphones.
Power from my last session. I hope they are better now. Okay, can you please?
Yeah, they're better. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. So my question was, this year it was announced that the inflation rate has decreased at a huge amount, and I think there was also a 5% notification in stats by our Minister of Finance, Mkhulu Chube. And I wanted just to ask you the question is, like the economy currently in a setup of a family within Harare or Bulawayo, and the stats which say the inflation is down, can we say there is a connection or there's a gap?
Okay, that is a very, very interesting question because you see when the ministry measures economic growth. So from last year, sorry, for this year, Zimbabwe's economy is projected to increase by 5%, right? So economically, Zimbabwe is on a growth trajectory. But when you look at the basic livelihoods of a common Zimbabwean, the basic living standards of a common Zimbabwean, people are living on less than $2 per day. If you look at the GDP per capita, it's very low. But when you look at the nation's GDP, it's actually booming. We have had the recent Trabablas interchange development. Those are the metrics they use when they talk about economic development, but they will not talk about
a small boy from Rambinda who has no food to eat for that night. When they talk about economic development, they're talking about the Guaishangani Dam that was recently constructed. So I think there is a need to rethink on the metrics that we use to plan for the national budget.
That's a great observation. That's really a great observation. But now this one leads me to asking this question. If we look at other developed countries like the United States of America or the United Kingdom, or let's even say China or Dubai, like can you say they also measure their economy growth like that, or we are different?
As the United States said the way they measure their economic policies or economic metrics is actually different from Zimbabwe. They use quite a number of intellectual or technological metrics. You have the interest rates, you have the PPI, you have the CPI, then there is the non-farm payroll, right? They actually measure how people who are not on payroll, how are they earning their income. But in Zimbabwe, we don't have access of measuring our economic metrics using such methods. There's only a number of reasons. When it comes to measuring our economic progress, uh, it needs a lot of investment to measure how our economy is actually to measure our economical trajectory. There is need of a lot of investment. That's why you will see the Zimbabwean government can actually consult the World Bank for assistance in measuring its own economic policies. I think there you actually see that there is a gap in terms of how Zimbabwe measures its economical policies compared to how developed countries measure their economic policies. It's a matter of access to key economic measuring instruments. It's basically a matter of investment rather than a fact of Zimbabwe doesn't want to measure its economic metrics using this method, but it's basically a matter of lack of investment. Okay, back to you. I don't know if you are still hearing me. Matthew, hello?
Think you're back.
Hello? Okay, I think there's a twitch in your network, is it?
Um, yes, sir. Thank you
Okay,
so much for that.
can
And
you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Amazing, amazing. So let's just move on. And there was this other question that I want really to know is currently, could you say there are implementations right now happening in Zimbabwe? Like, for example, um, we had the NDS, the National Development Strategy 1, and now we're on the National Development Strategy 2 under all the Vision 2030. of achieving a better upper middle society income. So I wanted to ask you, do you see us really achieving it? Do you see the steps in alignment to that right now?
All right. In terms of looking at the budget and also relating the budget to right now, we are now in NDS 2. I think the government is making reasonable steps in reaching the 2030 goal. You see, like on the key economic indicators, there is mining, there's infrastructural development, there's agriculture. So, allow me to comment, especially on these three economic metrics. Starting with infrastructure, there has been notable infrastructural development in Zimbabwe. We can relate to the Tabablas, to the Gwai Shangani Dam, and many other infrastructural developments that are happening. But now, when it comes to the mining sector, I would like to take the other side, or the or to play the devil's advocate. So you will see that in 2025, one of the political elites, I don't want to name drop, but they delivered uh, over 30 tons of gold to over 30 tons of gold, and you see that from those 30 tons, they managed to siphon over 2.5 billion dollars. But the government, in terms of mineral revenue collection, they only managed to siphon only 4.5 billion. You see that a single person managed to managed to siphon over 50% of Zimbabwe's mineral deposits, yet the government managed to take only half of it. I think in terms of development manifesting from policy implementation, there is a mishap there. It's like the development is there in the Jew, but it's not there in de facto. By the Jew, I mean the development is there in policy, but development is lagging behind when it comes to implementation. I'm not really cascading the word development implementation happening in Zimbabwe. But my point is that development is a little bit slow on other sides of the economy, while if it is happening on other parts of the economy, because you cannot isolate Trababla's interchange as infrastructural development alone. We need to see consistent development in Zimbabwe, not just to say there is the Trabablas that was a government infrastructural development or infrastructural work implementation. We need to see an inclusive implementation of the budget. So what we expect from the midterm budget review is that they will tell us at least a stabilized infrastructural development in Zimbabwe. Not me to mention development happening or development happening only in Tari. If there is in decentralized.
All right, all right. I think I get what you mean, Sultan. Um, Usually, for me, according to me, if I have to compare Zimbabwe with other nations right now, like Senegal, Tanzania, Namibia, Mozambique, and others like South Africa. I would say that Zimbabwe is trying, and in the partnerships, as right now I'm seeing that it has partnered with many Chinese companies for mining. There's even the lithium energy innovation that has come up due to the partnership with Chinese. So I would love to say that as much as we expect more, but I think there's more progress in these fields this year than there was 5 years. Do you agree on that, or you have another opinion on that?
Okay, so uh, we are going back to talking about who is really benefiting and who is measuring that progress, right? When you talk about progress, you need to remember what instruments are you using to measure progress. Is it progress that is happening right now better than progress that was happening 5 years ago? So, from a political economy point of view, you must understand something. A policy or a budget, when it's prepared, someone is benefiting from it. As I was saying earlier about a person who profited over 50% of Zimbabwe's minerals. What does that tell us? Yes, there is progress in Zimbabwe, but the progress is a bit limited. Because right now, if I ask you to tell me about the progress that is happening in Zimbabwe, what are you going to tell me? You'll say, in the last 5 years, we had Kumbuda, we had the Tabablas, and we had the Rare Bed Bridge road reconstruction, which is taking
Okay.
forever to complete.
Yeah.
When we're talking about progress in Zimbabwe, we should sit down and ask ourselves this question: is the Zimbabwe general populace really benefiting? Is the Zimbabwe general populace really benefiting from this progress? Because when you look, for example, we may take the Gwanda solar project. If you know of it, and we had one weekly value who was given that tender for the Gwanda the project become fruitful. What does that the loan that was the 1 billion loan JCTDC and Wange power station. Is it yesterday or the day before yesterday? We had a nationwide power outage in Zimbabwe. Is that progress to you? I think those are some of aspects you should really look into. When we talk about progress, it's progress for whom? It's for me. It is for the political elite. It is progress to them because you see these people are siphoning. They're siphoning public resources. But for an ordinary Zimbabwean, what does progress really mean? For an ordinary Zimbabwean, progress is having uh, 3 meals per day. For an ordinary Zimbabwean, progress it is access to affordable healthcare. For a general Zimbabwean, progress is access to free and equitable education. For an ordinary Zimbabwean, progress is having access to clean and safe water. So when we talk about progress, we should actually look at this in both sides. There's progress that is defined by those in power. Then there's progress that is defined by the proletariat.
Yeah.
Back to
Thank
you.
you for that. Thank you. Yes, yes. I don't believe that you are truly, truly focused on political economy. Yeah. So my next
Yeah.
question to you is, I really wanted now to, because I've seen that poverty these days is increasing in Zimbabwe, as well as unemployment, as we have many graduates right now with bachelor's degrees, but they don't have jobs in Zimbabwe. So can you connect that to the current progress that you are talking about?
Okay, sorry. You said can I connect unemployment and poverty to the current what?
To the current political economy that is in Zimbabwe.
Okay, so as I was analyzing the 2026 budget, the government keeps on talking about employment creation. Zimbabwe is open for business, but you would say that the budget lacks on one thing. It lacks on the how part. Yes, you are going to create employment in Zimbabwe. How are you going to create employment in Zimbabwe? Then on the political economy aspect, yes, you're talking about employment creation, but look at Zimbabwe's democratic space. It's actually shrinking. And yesterday, the president of the Republic of Zimbabwe passed the Cape 3 bill into law. What does that put uh, political space on the international platform? What does the Cape 3 say about Zimbabwe to investors? I think the government of Zimbabwe should look themselves in the mirror and ask, if we want to create employment for the youth in Zimbabwe. Sorry, are you there? Hello, Matthew. 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 I think I've lost you. Hi, Matthew.
Right. Yeah. Itai, can you hear me? We had a brief network challenge there, but you're now back. Itai, can you hear me? Right, okay, alright, nice guys. I'm trying to fix this. Alright, let's just wait a bit. I think we're back. So just for promotion, let me call the Mathieu, and I'd love everyone to just go and click subscribe on YouTube. It's called Lemicro de Mathieu, Lemicro That's the name of the podcast. It's called Lemicro de Mathieu, where we focus on governance, human rights, and everything else that is focused more on empowering. people, especially women, the displaced, and the citizens of this brown soil of Africa. Thank you so much, everyone, and just keep there. We're not yet done. We're waiting for Sir Itai. He's going to be back live in just a few seconds. Let's just give him some time to join. All right. I think due to connectivity challenges, Sir Itai maybe he's not connecting again, but it was a very sensational meeting. I hope we can connect. Not really sure if he's still with us, but we can wait for some minutes and see if we would connect. Let's just wait a bit. Maybe he might connect or not, but I think he will connect. I think I'm sure of that. Alright, so from what I'm seeing, it's like he's not connecting anytime soon. Alright, what's really happening here? What's really happening? Hmm, okay, I think maybe there's a challenge.
Network.
Well, so Ty is back after some while. Sorry for that, it was network challenges. I faced some network challenges, but I hope, Sir Ty, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I think that's another investment that we need the government to improve on when it comes to telecoms.
Yeah, true. Wow, I love that. So you were
Seriously,
talking about
seriously.
like so yeah, I think even that's why it's also even raising a question in my mind. The taxes that were given to Starlink and those other private networks, do you think it was all for our benefit or it's something just out of the blues? What's your view on that?
Okay, so the MTT taxes were actually increased, and we had the new Starlink taxes coming in through. And you asked a really very, very important question when it comes to political economy. Do you know what that where that money is going? What is that money being used for? Because in my own understanding, those taxes were supposed to be used to improve access to communication in Zimbabwe. You see that more than 35% of Zimbabwe doesn't have access to basic internet services, and you will see that the telecom companies were complaining about an increase in taxation, but you will see that ordinary Zimbabweans are facing challenges when it comes to internet connectivity. I think about a month ago, we had a whole nationwide Econet blackout. Then you question
Mm,
yourself: is the government really investing uh, in in telecommunications? I think that is another interesting perspective that we need to see being addressed by the coming mid-term budget.
yes. So I think so. Really, like frankly speaking, that was really a good point. As in, most people, especially the citizens, are not profiting or are not seeing even the need of the taxes itself. It's like, for example, when we look at the toll gates fees or the parking fees, or let's even look at even the recent increase in the fuel prices due to, I think, foreign issues. Last I heard, it was because of the war between
Were
Iran
they
and
really
Israel.
were they really due to foreign issues? I mean, like South Africa faced the same situation, but when you compare the projects happening in other African regional countries and those happening in Zimbabwe, it's actually different. In Zimbabwe, it was like this is where the war actually happened. I think the war Middle East crisis is a scapegoat by the Zimbabwean government just to increase fuel prices. I think it's something you really need to look at. When 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 something like that happens, you should ask yourself a couple of questions about who's really
Mm,
benefiting from that. Because
yes.
okay, are you aware of the number one person who brings fuel in Zimbabwe?
Not
It's
sure of
one
that.
Kudakwashe
You can
Tagire.
enlighten me on that.
It's one Kudakwashe Tagire. I mean,
Mm,
and Sakunda Holdings is responsible for bringing over 70% of fuel into Zimbabwe. Then who's going to benefit from the project? You tell me that's your own answer. That's your own fish to fry. Who would then benefit from those fuel projects? Because you see that in our southern African region, Zimbabwe experienced the worst fuel price increase shock compared to other regional countries. You should really ask yourself why that actually happened.
wow, that's quite inciting. And I'm still asking myself right now. Wow, that's really interesting. And also, like, if we have to move further, just as you just said, one person is bringing the whole fuel in Zimbabwe, and I think that's entrepreneurship. But okay, on a local level, can you say the informal sector,
Is
the
it
people who are selling
entrepreneurship really?
tomatoes,
Wait. I want to
or
catch you. You said one person bringing fuel in Zimbabwe. It's not entrepreneurship. That is monopolization.
okay, all right. Okay, but we
Exactly.
have the same scenario. Okay, wait, let's look at the scenario in Nigeria. We have Dangote. He's the man bringing the cement. So will you say that's not entrepreneurship?
That's not entrepreneurship. When the rest of the country is isolated or is not included in development, it's not
Yeah,
entrepreneurship. That's monopolization of the central market. That's
yeah, that's really
monopolization.
true. Wow. So I think they've even played a trick on me myself. Wow,
Yeah. I mean,
interesting.
when it comes to, you know, that's why I was defining political economy. Economics, you're just saying, okay, there was fuel hikes. Fuel hikes were caused by so and
Mm.
so. But when you look at it on the political perspective, you now bring in the aspect of, okay, yes, there were fuel hikes. You're saying they were caused by price fluctuations in the Middle East. But when we analyze it from a political economy point of view, we're not saying, okay, so why is it in Zimbabwe the fuel hike increased by 100%, but in South Africa increased by 50%? Who's going to benefit from that? Why the 100%? You see, I think those are some indicators you should actually look at when you are looking at the economics that shape a nation. We should look at the political side of who is going to actually benefit from it, because in every economy there's always a beneficiary. It's either you or the one who is making that change.
Wow. And also, like, could you say that the economy is suffering due to the sanctions? Like, if we had to bring the norm of sanctions, do you think it's still playing an effect?
Sanctions, Zidera, IMF, World Bank. You know,
Yeah.
those those sanctions are not on Zimbabweans. Those sanctions are targeted sanctions. They are targeted on individuals. They are targeted on corrupt individuals, companies. What's killing development in Zimbabwe is corruption, not sanctions. What's limiting Zimbabwe's economic growth is corruption and nepotism and siphoning of public funds, not sanctions. I mean, sanctions are just a scapegoat to the current realities that have been faced by Zimbabweans. You know, like 3 weeks ago, we had an extravagant wedding that was happening in Zimbabwe. Millions of dollars were
Yes.
splashed, but the Zimbabwe
Billions, yes.
Anti-Corruption is not
Huh.
exactly. The Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission is not investigating anything about that. So when you bring in the point of sanctions, you're talking of sanctions being imposed by the United States government, while it's those in power have access to millions of dollars in cash that even some ordinary Americans don't even have access to. So, who's being affected by those sanctions really? Sanctions, yes, they are there. They are targeted sanctions. They are not sanctions on economic policies that are shaping Zimbabwe. What's really affecting Zimbabwe is corruption and nepotism and siphoning of public funds and lack of accountability and transparency in the political economic space within Zimbabwe.
That's really interesting because I'm still also like, because I was always asking myself, Zidea, no, no, no. It can't be sanctions because since back then we've been living in this calamity whereby the economy is just down for every citizen. And that leads me to this other question, which is like I've seen that there's been a consistency of Zimbabwe changing the currency. When there's high inflation, we just change the currency. When there's high inflation, we just change the currency. And then this leads again to more inflation and the economy goes down day by day. So like would you say like our currency really is that weak or there's more behind it?
Okay, I'm just going to ask you one thing. The government changes the currency. If they
All
believe
right.
in the currency, why isn't it that at the extravagant wedding where there were the whole political elite of Zimbabwe, why didn't they pull up the $50 zigs and the 20 zigs as a wedding gift? But they actually had to pull out US dollars.
Yeah, US dollars.
I mean,
Okay.
when it exactly, you know,
Uh,
when it comes to changing currencies, I mean, it's something that the budget didn't really address. When it comes to inflation, it's about a people's confidence in the currency. So here you're seeing that the makers of the currency, the political elite, they don't even have confidence in their own currency they are making. All of them, they are being paid in US dollars. I mean, they have access to US dollars. They are not even interested
mhm.
with the zig. So if themselves are not using the zig, who was the zig made for?
True. That's deep. That's really true.
I mean,
Yes.
it's something that each and every Zimbabwean should sink in. If the political elites are not using the ZIG, what did they make the ZIG for? Right now, our own local currency, you cannot go at a service station and purchase fuel using our own local currency. The government is aware of that. What are they saying about that? What is the budget going to say about it? What we need to see in the midterm budget is the government addressing failure of fuel of sale of fuel stations to accept our own local currency. Are they going to penalize them for that? We're not seeing anything about that. It's because of what? Who actually controls the fuel market in Zimbabwe? The person that I told you earlier. You see where I'm going. You see where this is going.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Safe stations cannot accept the ZIG. They only accept the US dollars. Now, look at the back room of that. Who is actually bringing the fuel in Zimbabwe? It go back.
Yeah.
It go back to the same people. You see, so a question of if Zimbabwe's currency is weak or if it is strong, I think it is a matter of public acceptance, and the public will not accept our local currency until the government officials themselves push themselves acknowledge the importance of our own local currency. Before we look at the the strength of our own local currency, I think we should look at a number of indicators. What makes a currency strong is public acceptance. What makes a currency strong is accountability. What makes a currency strong is transparency. If our government is not transparent enough, if our government is not accountable enough, our currency will forever remain weak.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. As I said, at the start, today we have quite a remarkable person with us. Quite remarkable, indeed. Wow. So as we wrap up, sir, I just want to leave this few minutes that I'll just give you the last question, which is in Zimbabwe, the people or the citizens are expecting more from the government. People are complaining that they need more electricity. Like, let's say, for example, in Bari, there's the overcrowdedness, there's the hygiene issue, no water, and all the other sewages which are passing everywhere. So, meaning that there's no public accountability, and the economy is really, really, really low. So, the people there are using their informal businesses like selling tomatoes and everything that they do. So, according to you, sir, I wanted to know, does the informal sector play a role in stabilizing the economy in Zimbabwe? Hello, sir Itai. Hello, sir Itai. Itai. Mr. Washington, I think, did we lose you again? So, Washington, Itai. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think he's gone, and thank you so much for joining today. And can you please click the like button and the subscribe button, and let's interact more and know each other more. More is coming, and this is not the last podcast session. We have more coming for everyone, and let's join, let's engage, and let's talk more on governance, politics, the economy, women empowerment, human rights, and even refugees. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining.